Yeah, we got 1 minute, guys.
You got 1 minute?
1 minute.
Y'all take off like a racetrack and leave me.
$6.15. Let's roll. Ah, good. That couldn't have been any better. Welcome back to another episode of Hambone Fishing. Today we're talking about Lake Hartwell. It is a gigantic lake. Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing event number 6 on the year. I have never fished Lake Hartwell before. I've never been on it. I've never been around it, anything. And so I went into this event essentially completely blind. I went down the Friday before the event, got a chance to get out on the water, dodged a couple thunderstorms here and there. I caught a bunch of teeny tiny little spots, like 8 to 10 inch spots, and that'll kind of come into play a little bit later. It was a frustrating day as far as numbers of fish that I caught, especially coming off of the Carolina Clash where I caught fish all day long. I did catch a little bit of quality fish, just not quite enough. And like I said, we'll get back into that in a little bit, but let's get into the day. Start of the day, 6:15. Early 6:45 was launched, 6:15 lines in, and I wanted to throw topwater. It was overcast. It wasn't overly warm yet, and so I was throwing this cane walker. This is from Berkeley, and this is a really good walking bait. Spits a little bit because it's got the cupped mouth. Feathered tail. I probably should have gotten the chrome color. Chrome is a really good color on Lake Hartwell. I started on this island and the water was way up, and I figured these fish would be pushing up on it. It dropped off to about 7 to 10 feet fairly quickly, and so I fished all around that and got a couple bites. Check it out. Ah, dang it. Dang it. There's one. That's a good one. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. That is a real good one. That is a good one. 16 3/4. Wasn't even paying attention. Now, let me just make sure. Bad luck to fish back. 12 1/4. All right, so you saw me almost accidentally catch that 12 1/4 inch fish, which, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was about to just toss back. I had no intentions of measuring that fish, but it is always bad luck when you throw away a fish that is a keeper. We'll get back to that a little bit later too. This 12.5-inch fish kind of bit out of nowhere. The 16 3/4 was an awesome bite. That was great. I fished that topwater a little bit more in some different areas. I kind of hit that island. A couple boats came in. I would let that island rest for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'd go back and hit one of the sides again. And I just wasn't getting any more bites, so I had to really kind of put the topwater away, and I picked up none other than the BizBaits Sassy Stick and went to work. That day I was fishing the green pumpkin candy flavor, the green pumpkin candy color. I'm not super crazy about the color differentiations. I mean, honestly, if it's muddy water, you're going to want to throw darker colors. If it's clear water, you can throw more natural colors, or you can throw black. So as long as the fish can see it, it's really not that big of a deal to me as far as color goes. There's some guys that have huge amounts of confidence in different colors. I'm just not one of them. But anyway, I get going and I find a couple fish. Nope. That was a solid fish. So you just saw me miss that fish. And let me tell you something. Lake Hartwell, I'd never been on it again, never been on it. The cables on the docks that attach the dock to the shore are infinitely frustrating when you're trying to fish dock. You saw me kind of pull the, have the rod out. The fish was digging under a cable. And I think what happened is, I want to say I had a pretty good hook set on it, but what happened is just the angle of the hook and where the hook was in the fish may have been bad, and it just came off. I thought the line broke. I thought maybe the fish was rubbing the line up against that cable and that's why it broke, but everything was still fine, and it was just the cable, or just the hook just came out. But I regrouped. I figured the Friday before I was catching a ton of fish. They were all small, but I was catching a ton of fish, so I wasn't too worried that if I had to go through numbers that I would find a couple 12-inchers if I needed to. So I wasn't worried too much about losing that fish. And so I just pitched right back in the same spot. Check it out. Darted under that thing and I couldn't keep the right pressure on it. Okay, all right. No. Might be the same one. Get out of that. Get out of there. Go. This might be the same fish. It's a 16-incher. So honestly, that may have been the same fish that got off the cast before. I don't know. Spots typically tend to pack up and group up together, but you don't know. I mean, I didn't see any other holes in its face or in its mouth or anything, so I have no way of knowing. But again, it may have been the same fish. So I don't know. It definitely felt the hook the first time, but it may have just eaten again. I don't know. But anyway, that gives me my limit. So I was feeling pretty good then. I had 60 inches. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I had the rest of the day to fish. I was feeling pretty good knowing that I had 3 solid keepers and then that 12 and a quarter. I was like, oh, I'll definitely be able to get rid of that 12 and a quarter, no problem. If I have to, I'll come back and fish some of this water just like I did yesterday and weed through a bunch of 11 and 12 inchers to get that 14 or whatever. Well, it didn't really happen. In fact, really nothing else happened for the rest of the day. I went upriver. I was fishing this long creek and it went way up river and went under a bridge, fishing some docks and kind of some stuff along the way. And as the farther I got up there, the dirtier the water got, and that kind of threw me off because again, the day before I fished really clear water, and Lake Hartwell is a very clear water lake. So I was looking for a little bit of a stain on the water, but the further I got up the river, the dirtier and dirtier it got, and I thought that fishing the muddier water was going to take away from what I was doing the day before. I thought for sure that day before, with all of those little fish that I caught in that clear water, I should go back there. Well, I ended up turning back around and under the bridge again, went all the way back down, and boat traffic got in the way, waves got in the way. I didn't catch, I think I caught one more fish the rest of the day, and it was a short. And so I had all day to think about that 12 and a quarter inch fish continuing to stay in my limit. It turns out that we got back. Of course, we still can't meet up. So the commish went live at 8 o'clock. I was at home and announced the results. I was sitting in 14th place. 10th place, it was either 9th or 10th place, I believe, took home free entry into the next event. And then obviously up from there, I was 1 inch away from getting free entry into the next event. With a 12 and a quarter inch fish in my limit, I was sick to my stomach. Just thinking like, I should have been able to weed through at least, if I had to weed through 10 fish to find a 13 or a 14 incher, that I would be able to, but I couldn't pay for a bite. When I got back to fishing some of those docks and when the sun got really high, another thing about Hartwell, all of the docks are in like 20 to 40 feet of water. And then they've got the cables that go all the way to the back. So you can't get necessarily under like the walk ramps or anything like that on every dock because you can't get to it. So at least not very easy. And I just got frustrated and I was fishing poorly and just hadn't gotten bit, throwing a Ned rig, throwing a Texas rig, throwing a jig, all that stuff, and just couldn't get bit again. So that pretty much wraps up the day. Again, everything came in that first little bit of the day when it was overcast, and as soon as the sun came up, I just lost it. But I appreciate you guys watching. Next on our lake list is High Rock Lake on the Yadkin chain of rivers here in North Carolina. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be event number 7. Anything from there on kind of really changes things because now we have drops coming in as far as the points race goes. I'm still sitting top 10. I think I'm in 9th place right now as far as the TOC concerns itself. I'm in as of now. Well, again, once those drops come into play, it changes a lot of things. If somebody had a bad event, You know, if I have a bad event, it kind of changes everything. So again, I appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed watching it. Consider subscribing and share this video with a friend. I'm Graham with Hambone Fishing. We'll catch you next time.